Have you ever eaten raw sea urchin testicles, walked through the Arctic in barefoot shoes, cold plunge into the frigid Arctic Ocean, or sat down with the indigenous Sami people to learn about their nose-to-tail diet and the incredible food they give their dogs? Well, that's exactly what Kathy and I did on our recent trip to Norway. It was an eye-opening adventure filled with lessons about health, sustainability, and ancient traditions. In this video, I'm sharing everything we learned, from why organ meats are so powerful to how barefoot boots can keep your feet warmer than traditional winter boots. So stick around, this is a journey you don't want to miss. Our first stop is with the Sami people, the indigenous herders of Norway, Finland, Sweden, and parts of Russia. They eat reindeer nose to tail. But here's the fascinating part. They save most of the organs, in fact most of the best pieces of the animal, for their dogs. When I asked a Sami elder why, he explained that their dogs often spend days herding reindeer across rugged terrain, and organ meats fuel their endurance and recovery. In fact, he told me that, when he gets tired, he just rests and sits down. His dogs don't. They don't stop until the job is finished. And they are sometimes gone for days where they don't see the dogs don't eat, don't drink. Maybe they might drink something, but they're gone without food, and then they come back and refuel. And that's why they get the best parts of the animal, including the organs, so they stay fueled for those hard jobs in the cold. And it was a reminder of just how nutrient-dense organs are, not just for dogs, but for us too. Organ meats are packed with vitamins and minerals that support energy, recovery, and overall health. And if you're not ready to dive into cooking liver or kidneys, supplements are a great way to get those nutrients without the prep. Next up, footwear. Believe it or not, my barefoot boots outperformed Kathy's thick-soled winter boots in keeping my feet warm. I only brought one pair of shoes, and those were barefoot boots. Kathy got her thick, heavy, stiff winter boots, and on day one she already complained and said, "I think I made a mistake." The secret to all of it, why barefoot shoes work so well in the cold, is because they are flexible, that let your feet move naturally, which boosts circulation and keeps them toasty, even in Arctic conditions. And this trip really confirmed what I've always said about minimalist footwear. So if you're curious about making the switch or finding the best barefoot shoes for any occasion, check out my blog and video on this topic. They are packed with tips and recommendations. One of the most surprising things we learned in Tromso is how people there compensate for the lack of sunlight in winter. With no daylight for months, or for 6 weeks that is, vitamin D deficiency seems inevitable, right? But cold water exposure might offer an alternative. Research actually suggests that cold plunges stimulate biophoton production, which could help your body produce vitamin D even without sunlight. And we experienced this firsthand, plunging into icy fjords and the Arctic Ocean after sauna sessions. It wasn't just invigorating, it felt transformative, almost like being exposed to sunlight, but it was dark in our case all day. Now here's a nugget you might not know. Biophotons are tiny light emissions produced by your cells, and cold exposure activates them, potentially boosting processes like vitamin D synthesis and energy production, even if in the absence of sunlight. That's super interesting. I did not know that, but it might explain why those people have relatively stable vitamin D levels. I mean, they also fortify their foods, but still, no sunlight for weeks in a row. That must be tough, but cold plunging might be a way to compensate for that. Next up, Norwegian seafood. Seafood is a cornerstone of Norwegian cuisine, and for good reason. Fish, shellfish, and even sea urchins are loaded with omega-3s, iodine, and selenium, nutrients essential for brain health, thyroid function, and reducing inflammation. One of the most adventurous things we tried, raw sea urchin reproductive organs, or testicles in other words. It sounds unusual, I know, but they're an incredible source of zinc, which supports your immune system and hormones, and quite frankly, it didn't taste bad at all. It was not that I would say I need to get more of this every day, but it wasn't terrible by any stretch. It was good. It was good, and I can't wait to try sea urchin again. Now, fun fact, omega-3 fatty acids don't just help your heart. They are critical for reducing inflammation and keeping your brain sharp as well. And so we decided we're going to integrate more fresh wild-caught seafood into our diet here back home in Atlanta as well. Now, one thing that we were both looking forward to, Kathy and I, was sauna bathing and cold plunging, which I consider the ultimate combo. And in Norway, sauna bathing often includes cold plunging. And in fact, in all the Scandinavian countries, whenever you hear the benefits of sauna bathing, there is always cold exposure involved. You know, you end in cold. You go into the sauna, then you go into the cold plunge, back into the sauna, back to the cold, and at some point you end in cold. We did on 3 different occasions: in the Arctic Ocean, in Oslo, and in Flam, in one of the fjords. We cold plunged, and we did 3 to 4 sessions. So 3 to 4 times 15 minutes in the hot, and then 1 to 2 minutes in the cold. And we did this back to back, and it was absolutely invigorating. And we did not get sick during the trip. You know, traveling is always increases your likelihood of getting sick because of stress and being, you know, exposure to germs, etc. People around us got sick. We did not, and we attribute that to our sauna bathing and cold sessions. That was absolutely great, and we now started doing that more here at home as well. We typically do sauna and cold plunge anyway, but we never really followed that back-to-back protocol, and we are doing that now at home as well, and it's absolutely amazing. I love it. And here is one thing that you might not have known. You know, alternating between hot and cold trains your blood vessels to expand and contract efficiently, improving circulation and also reducing, again, inflammation. So if you have a sauna or access to a sauna and a cold plunge, I highly recommend you follow that back-to-back protocol. Now, lastly, one of the most refreshing parts of Norway was how little plastic they use in comparison to here in the US. Even, you know, when we go to breakfast, you know, and you get like, you know, your butter or whatever, here in the US often it comes in plastic. In Norway, we very often got glass containers instead of plastic. We really much liked it. And even the products that contain quote-unquote hidden sources of plastic, like coffee cups, are actually labeled as contains plastic. They are clearly marked as such, and so you can make the conscious decision to not use those quote-unquote paper cups because they are lined in plastic. And if you pour a hot beverage into those cups, you get a ton of microplastics that you then consume and then are stuck in your body and cause all kinds of issues that we don't have time to go into more details. But that was really nice to see that more glass, less plastic, and wherever there is plastic, it was labeled as such. And so if you're looking to reduce your plastic use, start with your reusable containers and avoid heavily packaged foods. You know, small changes can make a big difference in your microplastic contamination. And, you know, this trip wasn't just a vacation. It was a learning experience. From the wisdom of the Sami people to the power of cold exposure and nutrient-dense foods, Norway showed us so much about how to live healthier and more sustainably. Thanks for watching, and here's to making 2025 a year of adventure, growth, and good health. See you next time.